Hey everybody, I want to give a quick guided tour of the WAT file format, which is a container of metadata derived from work files or web archive files. WAT files are a lighter weight and easier to use researcher file format. And what I've done here is taken the Canadian political parties and Canadian political interest groups collections from archival. They've been collected by the University of Toronto. I've extracted the links and I've mapped them into Gephi with the help of Mickey Kaufman at CUNY. So let's do a quick guided tour. Right now in front of you is everything. 26,396 nodes, or websites, and 40,672 edges, or links between those websites. Currently, you're seeing social media and technology hubs dominating. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Flickr, Google, and Google+ to a lesser extent. That's because they get a lot of inbound links, which is what I'm sizing the text and the size of the circles here, i.e. the Liberal Party of Canada links to YouTube, just as a Conservative would link to YouTube, and just as David Suzuki would link to YouTube. So let's go in and see what we can find when we start zooming in. And as we start zooming in, we're going to start seeing more and more labels to get a sense of what this information contains. And it can be a bit slow, which is why we're doing this by video and not by PDF. So we start zooming in. Again, sometimes it takes a try. We're on a slower laptop today. We zoom in and we see here the Liberal Party of Canada, liberal.ca. And we can see the links that are coming right most connected to the Liberal Party. And if we start zooming in, we start seeing a lot of different things. We see a marijuana interest group. We see Gilles Duceppe for some reason, which lets us know that this is not perfect. We see MP websites, we see subdomains, etc. And different issues that the Liberal Party has engaged with through links. That doesn't mean they love them, doesn't mean they hate them, it just means that they've been linking to them. And similarly, up here, we see the New Democratic Party of Canada. We see news websites, there's CTV, we've seen the Globe and Mail. And if we zoom back out, I'll show you another hub. Down here in the corner, we have David Suzuki, the noted environmental campaigner in Canada. And so you can start exploring and seeing what relationships with links we have between sites. Again, we're just dealing with links. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. And if we really want to clean this out, we can start jumbling the labels around so they're readable. But we can start seeing various blogospheres and various connections within this corpus. So let's zoom in and let's do some of the historical data crunching here. You've got a bunch of different scrapes. Right now we're not dealing with every year, unfortunately, due to some issues of memory computing and crunching. If anybody's listening to this, I would love a computing cluster. But we can start seeing through some of the years, 2005, 2006, 2009, 2010, 2012, 13, and 14, the evolution of different websites as the links appear and as they disappear. The proviso, of course, is just because a website isn't active doesn't mean that it's still not there. We all encounter old, dead websites all the time, and so we can't read too much necessarily when a website disappears. But over time, as links change, we can learn. So let's zoom in. You can see the Liberals and the NDP. We can move our slider down here. As we press play, we see them, the blogospheres and links around them, grow and shrink, ebb and flow over this time. Here's an interesting example I wanted to showcase, and it's the No Sharia Law campaign. It actually morphs into the campaign to close down Iranian embassies at some point. And no Sharia law was a big issue in Canada, but to my knowledge, as a historian who obviously gets his news from a limited thing, I haven't really seen it be a big issue lately. So if we again look at it over time, we actually see the number of links inbound to No Sharia Law shrink, and it actually peters off until the very end of our scrape, that it becomes less relevant within the Canadian political sphere that we have here. So zooming back out, I just use this as a quick example. You're welcome to try to download the PDF to play with this yourself. And in the future, I'll be looking to get some data dumps out. But I think this is a great starting point. Work files are big. This is gigabytes and gigabytes of data. What are historians going to do with this lump of material that we have trouble dealing with? And it looks like the WAT file format is a surefire winner as we think about researcher access to these collections.